Welcome back, you beautiful souls, to the next installment of What If Deku Gained a Klyntar? So, in the last part, we left off with Izuku finally actually, looking into the letter. And Hasashi has finally, really returned home because the last time he saw his father, it was literally only for a couple of hours. And so, we're going to and he punched it. And within that moment when Izuku's fist collides with Hasashi's face, Izuku he has a vision of a woman that he's never seen before, and her part of her face is burnt off, and he sees like her arm is missing and one of her legs is gone and she has a hole in her stomach. And then he feels it. He feels like his body is burnt. And then like he snaps out of it and he's like, "Damn bastard. Why didn't you ever tell me? Why did you let me believe my entire life I was quirkless? But we have a quirk. Our family. We're perfect hosts, aren't we?" Izuku, we wanted to tell you, but in any case, let's sit down. Us and your mother have a lot to talk about. Miyazuki, he notices the wordage that's coming out of his father's mouth, and it's not his normal voice either. So he takes in a deep breath, goes sits down at the table. Inko nervously brings like plates of food over, and like he just sees like Hasashi look down, and then he's like, "Izuku, it's not tonight. Let's just eat dinner, and I'll explain everything after tomorrow. I only stopped in to say hi to your mother, and then work, duty calls. But I promise you, I'll explain everything tomorrow." Izuku, he's concerned. He's upset. He's mad because all these years, for 10 years, basically for almost 10 years, like 10 whole years of his life, he was picked on, bullied, called quirkless, useless. But this whole time, his dad knew he wasn't. So the next day, a press conference is being held, and it shows Aizawa. He's there, Principal Nezu, and another, I forget the other hero that was there. I forget the other person that was there. But they're talking, reporters are asking questions about the attack, and they're saying like someone came in and killed one of the villains. And they explain, like they go to explain, but then all of a sudden this hulking monster looking thing lands up on the stage. People start freaking out, and then they just hear they hear the thing speak. Calm down, calm down. You're not in danger. I was running a little bit late. Oops, sorry about the appearance. As it begins to morph down into like a humanoid figure. Now, it's a suit, like, and it has like a face covering and everything. And the reporters begin to ask, why did you kill? First off, that thing, it wasn't human. It was a monster. Something that was created in a lab, an abomination. But all the reports of a vigilante that's been acting out past couple of months here, past month or so in Japan, is true. I should have came and told and made myself known, but the things, fortunately, I was able to track down the last one. At least that I know of. But now I can officially announce my return to Japan. And then one of the reporters like, wait, you're... It can't be. And a few of the other people around him are like, what is it? That's the hero. He supposedly retired 16 years ago. He supposedly retired about 16 years ago. No one ever knew, like, what his true identity was or anything. But people just called him Moonlight, because every single time he would be seen at night, he would glow in like the moonlight. He never gave any interviews, but whoa, that was before. And the guy's thinking, it's like, could they possibly know each other? So, news wraps up. The image of UA is still tarnished a little bit, but not as bad as it was in canon. So, now we cut to Izuku just looking at the screen. Just after watching the news report. And he's like... I guess we're both in the boat. We're in the same boat. We should have been able to put two and two together. Well, we couldn't have, because that damn thing can hide its presence even from me. It's what makes it so damn dangerous. I thought it was dead, but I was wrong. In any case, let's wait for Father and it to return. So, that evening, they had gotten news that UA would be closed, they would have the week off to basically get counseling and stuff like that. So that evening, Izuku, he's sitting at home, and Ingo, she's sitting at the table. She's standing in the kitchen just staring at her son, and she walks up to him with with some tea, and she's like, "Baby, I'm sorry. I lied to you, but it's me and your father thought it'd be best if you didn't know about that. But they'll explain everything. Toxin, I'm sorry." "It's okay, mother," says Toxin, and Izuku just says, "Mom, I'm not upset with you. If I kinda understand. I mean, I did keep Toxin did keep what it was a secret from me for a little bit. Though he just looks at his mother, and she's kind of tearing up, and Izuku's just smiling. He's like, "I guess I really didn't have anything to fear. I should have just told you from the get-go, shouldn't I have?" Inko just grabs her son and kisses him on the forehead. And then, like, the door opens up. And Hasashi walks in, and he's like, "Ah, you're here, Izuku. Um, let's go out. Sweetie, you don't have to worry about dinner. I've got us. I'm meeting up with an old friend, and it's about time Izuku knows the whole truth." So stop here. I put out a poll asking if Hasashi should explain their family's history and go and fully tell Izuku like what his connection to the Klintars is. And you guys voted yes, so that's what this is. That's what this is. I had about 15, 20 minutes of material outside of the scene plan, but we're going to put this in here. So Izuku, he's the whole time he's following his father. He notices the direction that they're going, and you just hear Izuku in basically a fusion of Izuku and Toxin's voice. Because I would say they're in like their hero mode. They're not in like the full Klyntar mode. You just hear, "So dead. So dead. Why are we going to UA?" "Son, that's why. There's a lot to this. There's a lot more going on than... I didn't want to get you involved. I wanted you to be older. I didn't want you living the life that I had to live from such a young age. After your grandmother died. And this burden was pushed onto me. Oh, come on, Masashi. Am I so much of a burden to you?" says the anti-venom symbiote. And Masashi, like, kind of laughs. "You know that's not true, partner. In any case, you know what I mean. Let's hurry up, Izuku. There's people waiting on us." So they get to UA, and they make their way in. They are kind of stopped by like one of the teachers, and then they're like, "Oh, young Midoriya, what brings you here so late?" And then like they actually catch a glimpse of like the person that was next to him, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, sir. Nezu, he's in his office." "Thank you, civilian. Come on, boy. Let's go." So they make their way to the principal's office, and as they're getting there, like an argument can be heard, and Izuku recognizes the voices as his principal, and All Might, "You could have told me about this. I wouldn't have." Oh my god, Nezu, like, what the hell? You knew? And you didn't tell me? Toshinori, you know that I have secrets of my own, and well, it's the same as your secret in that quirk that you got from Nana. As like both of them hear like the door open, and they just hear, "You should keep it down. If it wasn't for me and my son, your secret would be out. Toshinori." As like Hasashi de-transform into his human state, and All Might's looking at him, and Izuku's just like, "Oh my, I didn't tell him." "Izuku, it's fine. I know about that quirk. I guess I've lived to see 4 of you. There was that Black Whip guy. He left a nasty bruise on our face. And then Asashi's like, oh, sorry about that. It's kinda hard. Yes, Izuku. That's why we're here. Nezu, can you do the thinking? Nezu pushes a button and then, like, basically blast shields come down around, like, the room. And then Hasashi, he turns to All Might and he's like, so, from our conversation yesterday, you know about what their kind is. All Might kind of nods, and then Izuku, he looks at his father, and he's like, Dad, what's going on? Yes, Hasashi, what's going on here? And care to explain what you meant in that letter about your family being perfect host? Hasashi, with a deep breath, he goes, like I said in the letter, Izuku, our family, our ties, it's better if... Yes, that quirk. Well, it's not a quirk anymore, but it's a nifty little ability. Hasashi throws his hand out, and white liquid begins to form around it, and then it creates, like, a little plane, and little holograms start popping up. And Hasashi goes in to explain, this is our ancestor, Izuku. Long ago, Toxin, you know this bit. Humanity, their kind came to our planet. A few unknown heroes, stuff that was kept a secret. Very hush-hush stuff about the government. Well, one day they successfully created an artificial symbiote from the DNA of the one called Venom. It later, one of its first hosts, they went mad and was eventually had to be put down. And it was thought that the symbiote had perished in the fight, just get over with it, Tosha. Get over it with it, Hasashi. They thought they killed it, but they didn't. And for years they tried to figure out who it was bonded to. Yes, I was getting to that. So, what happened was, fortunately or unfortunately, my great-great-grandfather, he was one of the first people with a quirk, as you would call it. His quirk allowed him to have amplified pheromones and secretions, but all it did was just make him he had an easier time with athletic things. But a few years had passed, and he noticed that he was getting stronger and stronger, and then one day he noticed this white liquid forming around him, and one thing led to another, and our family, Izuku, me and you are the last of our family. When I was younger, a boy of 10 years old, I watched my mother and... Yes, I know, Hasashi. It was painful, even for me. Unlike you, I saw the damage to you, and I felt the damage to your mother. Izuku and Toxin just had this flashback, and our family, we were hunted. We are, well, I guess I should show you and stop hiding what I really look like, Izuku. And Izuku, before his eyes, he just sees, like, Hasashi's face begin to change, and it looks more American, and he doesn't have, like, black hair. He has white hair? And then Sashi's like, I saw my mother die when I was 10, Izuku. I can no longer be unbonded from anti-venom, as you and Toxin probably know it as. But, like you, Toxin, he's no longer that... Well, you know. Toshinori, I'm sorry about the scratch on the back. You did deserve it after attacking me in America. Wait, oh my, you know my dad? Young man, I didn't even know. I thought I was just dreaming it. And then later I met you, Toxin, and I thought you were hiding that from me. But now I know there's more of your kind out there. And then All Might turns to Nezu, and you knew this whole time that Izuku was different. Well, All Might, just like I was saying, Hasashi, he asked me to keep an eye on his family and make sure nothing dangerous happened. Unfortunately, you got in contact with the boy, and then you passed your quirk down to him. I didn't know that it was Izuku Midoriya that you were planning passing your quirk to. Otherwise, I would have been completely against it. And just like you, I didn't tell him about your quirk. This whole time, I've been bound by honor to keep secrets. And this should show, no matter what, Toshinori, I would keep your secret, even especially after you rescued me. I'm truly sorry to you, Toshinori, and I'm sorry, Izuku Midoriya, for holding all this back, but I believe you understand now. Wait, how do you know about our kind? Well, you see, Izuku, I do have a quirk. They use the same technology to create kind of... Nezu pointing his arm to Hasashi, and Izuku just sees like a white tendril kind of waving. They use the same technology to artificially give animals quirks. I didn't have a symbiote, but they were able to do it, and that's how I've gotten my super intelligence. Though quirks can happen naturally inside of animals, though extremely rare. But, young man, you don't have to worry about this getting out unless you tell others. Now, All Might, I believe we should leave the two to discuss things. It seems there's a lot they need to speak about. And the discussion about me keeping it, I'm truly sorry, old friend. It's fun. And so, Nezu and All Might leave the office. And then Izuku, he says, Dad, how could I have seen that woman? Was that woman my grandmother? The one that was missing part of her face and one of her arms? It looked like it had been ripped off. And then one of her legs, it looked like it had been burned off. How is that possible? You always said Grandma was immune to fire. And that's how you got your fire breathing. Wait, how do you... And then Izuku, he realizes what he said. And he's like, wait, Dad, you just said that you can no longer be unbonded to... And then part of Hasashi's like face and like his hair like morphs into like a white liquid, and you just hear, "Yes, Izuku, your father, he was dying, and your grandmother gave up her life to save him, and I didn't want to let her die, but her final wish was to save her boy. Your father, he can no longer survive without me, which is why we were going to give you a choice when you turned 18 to accept this. We already discussed with your mother, and she was against it at first, but after we talked to her about it, your father has always believed that you are his greatest gift, and he is honored that he had a chance to have such an amazing son, a smart one, and a beautiful wife. For now, I will let Hasashi's mind speak." Hasashi then says, I'm sorry, son. I let you believe 10 years you were quirkless, but our family, we have a quirk that's called perfect host. At least that's what we've come to call it. Members of our family can be perfectly bonded to their kind, and we exchange biomatter. We can become more and more of a Klyntar, as you can call it. But we're still human. But even if I didn't get bonded, you would still be born with this quirk. I was hoping that you didn't have it, but as you got older, and the more of your pheromones that started to be released, the more I realized that one day you would probably have to take the family burden in our secret on for yourself. But then, when I was on my way back to Japan, making arrangements to come back, I heard from your mother, that you had been bonded to, like, another symbiote. I was worried about you, Izuku. But then, as I watched you in All Might, I realized that you were in good hands, and then I knew that you would most likely get his quirk, so I just let it happen. I figured, since Toxin, he seemed like he had changed since the last time our family ran into him. Sorry, Sashi. Sorry about all that. Wait, Toxin, you knew? Well, I had my sneaking suspicions, Izuku, but your father, his face, it reminds me of them. You take a lot after your mother, after all. And I was never bonded to one of you, but Anti-Venom, why are you telling us all this? Well, and you hear Anti-Venom's voice and Hasashi's voice speak at the same time. Well, you see, since I've announced my coming back to the forefront of hero work, you two will be most likely in the spotlight. And then Toxin sees it. He sees a tendril pop out of Hasashi's chest, and there's a white ball look like it's there. Since you have the burden of one for all, Izuku, and know about our family, this is all. I planned on giving this to you before I found out that you were bonded. like I said, I can no longer unbond with anti-venom, but it took us 10 years to make, it took us almost nearly 10 years, took us 10 years to make this Izuku. We were going to give it to you, and it would be up to you to raise it, but Toxin, take our power and make it your own. You and Izuku need to learn to work together, because that wasn't Venom. He's much stronger, and I fear that my powers have waned over the years, but considering how many hosts you've had, and that nifty little quirk, this should help you. Don't worry, it's not a trick. After all, I wouldn't harm Masashi's son. My gauges, you've already converted 20% of his body, haven't you? Well then, what will I become? You become something new. You will no longer be the name. You will no longer be Toxin. You could say that you would become anti-Toxin. Toxin, what's going on? Izuku, that memory, I get it now. It was memory transference, wasn't it, Anti-Venom and Hasashi? Yes, it was. I'm surprised that you were able to do that. I was trying to keep that away. I've always been able. Last time we spoke, you probably sensed something awkward when you touched me. Yes. Well then, do you accept it? Otherwise, we will give this to All Might, but it could kill him. What? You're not the only one that was creating a seed to anti-venom. I was preparing something for Izuku myself, but this works out fine. This actually is perfect. With that, Izuku, I have a favor to ask. I will take that. As Toxin grabs it, in a little bit, Izuku notices like the tendrils that grabbed it did start to burst and head, and then it just stopped. I'll let you know tomorrow, Izuku. There's Toshinori. I can save you now. Any case, Izuku, I need to sleep. It's been a long time since you've talked to your father. Enjoy the night with him. I will give you access to hero mode, but I won't help you. Have fun. And with that, you beautiful souls, I'm going to end this part here. I hope you enjoyed this. The whole explanation of Izuku's family past, I know it's a huge, turn of events, but yeah, this is where the story is going to really start picking up. I focused more on the UA story aspect of this than the symbiote aspect, so I hope you liked this. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about it. Hit that like button, it helps with the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I will see you beautiful souls in the next video.